accepting new as a destiny and not as a failure. So that is very important that you accepting new. That doesn't mean the prior one was a failure. You're moving forward on that. To appreciate the offering
Being here today. Your presence adds meaning and warmth to this gathering. I am deeply honored by the presence of our chief guest, Lieutenant A. Chaudry. Thank you very much for coming. And thank you very much, Ms. Kahal and Mr. Ali from Reinvention. Along the way, I learned you must remain constant. Reviews and reflections is not meant to impress, it is meant to connect. To remind us that every life carries untold stories and every silence has meaning. I am grateful to everyone who read, revived, reflected, and shared their thoughts with sincerity and kindness. Thank you once again to our honored guests, and thank you all for your time, your presence, and your encouragement. Thank you all for being here today. Your presence adds meaning and warmth to this gathering. I am deeply honored by the presence of our chief guest, Lieutenant A. Chaudry. Thank you very much for coming. And thank you very much, Ms. Kahal and Mr. Ali from my department. I appreciate your presence. Your time, encouragement, and support are very sincerely appreciated. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. Today is not only about a book. It is about reflection, about pausing for a moment to look back at journeys lived and lessons quietly learned. My own journey has crossed different worlds. From diplomacy to immigration, from familiarity to reinvention. Along the way, I learned one simple truth. Roles change, but values must remain constant. Reviews and reflections is not meant to impress, it is meant to connect. To remind us that every life carries untold stories and every silence has meaning. I am grateful to everyone who read, revived, reflected, and shared their thoughts with sincerity and kindness. Thank you once again to our honored guests, and thank you all for your time, your presence, and your encouragement. May our reflections guide us forward with humanity and hope. Thank you all very much. We have very short time, so I will request to wind up very soon. So right now, I will request.
Because I did not had the chance to read it, but certainly I can speak his personality. Shah Alam Saab, if I summarize and define his personality, I can say in one word, he is just like complete departmental store. Artistically, if we say that he's a pointer, writer, prose writer, photographer, and Urdu and English, mashallah, is very well. So I'm proud at his work. And best wishes, Shah Saab, and I would like to speak something more about that, but as you know about the time limit. So may God bless you and shower His blessing at you and your family, and continue shine your work for the community and all that. Thank you so much.
So a round of applause for the award.
Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the award.
Thank you very much.
I will, in a few minutes. Okay, all right, so, welcome all of you. Assalamu alaikum. Can you all hear me?
But I had the pleasure of meeting Officer Siddiqui. He was one of my trainees. And
You did a good job.
my first, well, thank you. My first, I was like, this guy is so short. But when those words came out of his mouth, he spoke with authority. In his book, he mentioned one time that two inmates were about to get into a physical altercation. And what we do as officers, we quickly call for officer backup, not Siddiqui. Siddiqui said, hey, cease that. And I can remember a time, I know I haven't been, I can remember a time where I was just recently on a contract, I was escorting contractors around and I had to come in his car. I didn't have to tell Siddiqui to have his inmates wrapped up so we can come in. He took the initiative, and that's one thing I like about him. He takes the initiative. He's firm, you know, and it's, you don't see that a lot coming from, what, I'm not gonna talk about your height, but I got his size, and he's real respectful, he's professional, he's real, I love you, Siddiqui. I mean, and he brought tears to my eyes when he acknowledged me in his book. I was like, oh, you never know what impression you have on someone. So I'm getting a little emotional, so I'm gonna drop this mic right now. But thank you, Officer Siddiqui.
About this book that he was given, and he
Little
was,
closer to the microphone.
Can you read it?
I was listening.
And give a review. And I said, okay, I will. I did read it, and I really enjoyed it. And I would like to read the review that I put in Amazon. And I have to tell you, I do not know Mr. Siddiqui, but I had met him over, but just long ago, so it was really impressive to read this book. Foreign Affairs to Jail Affairs is an inspiring memoir that captures resilience in its truest form. Jai Siddiqui's journey from serving as a foreign diplomat to working as a detention service officer in the Dallas County Jail is nothing short of remarkable. His story reflects courage, adaptability, and the strength to rebuild when life takes unexpected turns.
And I get this call around 6:30, and he said, I need my break. And I'm like, okay, we'll get to you, No, I need my break now. It's 6:30, I'm on FMLA, I get my medication at this time. So we're in a jail where it's down 200 officers, 7,000 inmates. So we make sure we go over to see Shah Siddiqui. And I will tell you that Shah is a great speaker. I told him to never say that he's a terrible speaker. I never told him to talk about who's not here. And it's great that he's here. So I worked at the jail. We worked during the pandemic when that broke out. And
Parents and the places, their schools, which were very familiar, and come all the way to a different culture, different country, and it is very tough for all the immigrants. And as Shah Saab has really talked about it, that when he was in Chicago and he was in the night, he was just thinking that was it worth it? But then he was being a very positive character, as Mrs. Siddiqui also talked about him. He really said that no, this is life, this is my life, this is my future, this is my country, and I'm going to realize my American dream. And here we have Shah Saab got his American dream, and we are so proud of you.
Immigration also, because his mobility and transfer from a different world to this world primarily is also an immigration issue. I just want to give you a small perspective on the American immigration. So the first question was, how do we define an immigrant, a brilliant attempt? In his book on the same challenges and assimilation. And in case if you don't know, my name is Parvez Malik. I'm your MC today, and
Comes back from his work and stayed late.
Speak loud, please.
Oh, you know,
Yeah,
public
Yes,
speaking is not my
interview
forte, chancellor.
let me read it for you.
No.
Read it for you? Let's just read
It
it.
should be more about Mr. Siddiqui because book is just a one little part of him versus his personality is great and he's a great man. So talking about Mr. Siddiqui, he is a man of principle. And he has his rules and he has his own personality, the way he operates. So that takes us toward the book. So in the book, what he mentioned is, the thing I like about the book is where he says that how you go from a status, from a shining, from way up here, I mean, I don't want to talk negative about our job, to way down here, and to still apply the same rules and regulations and principles to do a totally different job.
The first American came in 1620 aboard the ship called Mayflower. They were all English speaking pilgrims seeking religious freedom in the present day Massachusetts. The majority of Europeans arrived mid 1800 and early 1900s. They were Irish, German, Italian, Eastern European, Scandinavians in millions. And that is where our candidate was referring earlier, sort of a backlash that he was talking about. The restriction or the pause that happened, according to J.D. Vance, happened in the 1920s, which was the Immigration Act of 1944, which restricted the non-European population coming into this country, which got reopened. People basically put their minds and efforts into creating or commentaries or conversation as a astonishment of living through life trauma. It could be trauma, it could be good stuff, but it is basically living a life through this constant change. It is a constant strive to achieve the best within the promised life, to challenge continuously and to make a difference.
Where did you find him, by the way?
I'm going to answer questions that might
Any unfavorable situation would not intimidate him. He would just take a leap of faith and hope for the best. And he sees glass half full rather than half empty. So I believe reading this book may help others approach their life challenges with a different perspective or new perspective.
So here's the premise, I think, from the book, is and that is what the premise that you have put in the book, and that is a few pointers that I've gathered is, number one was assimilation into the American experience, that was one. Number two was moving forward. She just said that he is viewed as a destiny and not as a failure. So that is very important that you accept it, you know that doesn't mean the last, the prior was a failure, you're moving forward on that. To appreciate the offering of the first and foremost, welcome Shalom to city of Dallas, state of Texas, from Chicago. That was your bold move, and that was the best move. So a round of applause for doing that. in the book, there are four first pages of dedication, preface, and a couple of other things in there, acknowledgement. So in dedication, if you look at the fourth paragraph, if you have the book, if you don't have the book, it says, and that is what Salim is saying, ma'am. In the fourth paragraph, it says, it's just four words, which were very deep. It says, and Hashmi Sahib, this is it for you. Humanity refused to be silenced.
Wow.
So humanity refused to be silenced. And Salam Sahib, I want you to make sure that
And like Mr. Malik said, that's where the humanity comes. I mean, even though they are like the criminal elements of the society, but at the end of the day, they're still human beings. So make sure they're safe and they are fed and they get their rights such as exercise, and to make sure they get their medical help if they need, things like that. So it's basically care, custody, and control. That's what I would love to see.
Thesis, and it was a really good best-selling book on Amazon a little while back. Now it's fallen in rank, but I mean, I'll continue to make more books, and hopefully we're gonna bring that rank back up and publish some more books, make it look better.
rebirth
Yeah.
thesis.
The rebirth thesis. Alright. Respected officers, distinguished guests, and honored members of the audience, before I introduce myself, allow me to begin with an image that stays with you. A man who once walked through embassies with an official passport now walks through steel corridors with a ring of heavy keys. The titles have changed, the uniform has changed, but the obligation to serve has not. My name is Aslan Bhatt. I am the author of the Rebirth Thesis, and tonight I have the privilege of reflecting on a memoir that whispers its truth, yet grips you completely. The book is Foreign Affairs to Jail Affairs, Memoirs of Silence, Service, and Survival, authored by Shah Alam Siddiqui. Shah Alam Siddiqui's life moves across two worlds that most people never imagine intersecting. He begins as a diplomat representing Pakistan abroad. He later serves as a detention service officer inside the Dallas County Jail. What binds these two very different worlds together is not prestige, but discipline. At one point in the book, he recalls a night when a very young, that does not bend. It does not sensationalize inmates, and it does not reduce officers to stereotypes. Instead, it documents the daily moral arithmetic of the job, when to speak,
The people who are writers, intellectuals, people who work at all times. So Hashmi Sahib is here as a senior poet. Thank you very much for being here. Bhai is here. He's in a very different business these days, so I'm always scared of talking to him because that means you go to detention, get your home pretty quick and fast. Zahid Khanzada is our senior journalist here, investigative journalist. Zahid, please.
Shalam uncle, we know each other for the last 50 years, and we've been more like a family. He has always been there for us in every time. When my mother passed away, when my father passed away, he was the first person to be there. It has always been a pleasure to have a connection with Shalam uncle. I have gone through the book, but not in such a detail that I'll be able to give you any review. Shalam uncle, the best part is thriving because he has a purpose in his life. It's not just he's waking up every day, going to work, eating, sleeping, and the end days. He has a deeper purpose in his life. He has deeper sense of life. He wants to do something, and as Ahmed Faraz said that, "Bol ke lab azad hai tere." So Shah Alam uncle has that courage of saying the truth. He's never been afraid of saying what he feels is right, and I think that is the.
Well, my name is Uruj. Thank you all for being here. I am his daughter. I'm very proud of my dad. I'm truly honored to be here in front of all of you today. I wrote this with my daughter sitting next to me as I prepared this speech. So growing up, it was always so fascinating to hear my dad suddenly speak in a different language or dialect and have no idea what he's saying. But the people he spoke to would instantly light up. Language and expression have always been his gifts, which are apparent through his books, his poetry, and his paintings. So one would not expect someone with the heart of an artist to find himself working within the rigid, unforgiving confines of a jail. But even the seemingly darkest places do, in fact, have a language of their very own. And through the twists and turns of life, when a diplomat finds himself as a detention officer in a jail, we the readers are given a rare and eye-opening perspective that I imagine few of us will ever experience.
But a poet and a writer by heart. So it is such a joy to be here today to celebrate a truly special milestone, the review and reflection of the book Foreign Affairs to Jail Affairs by my dear friend Shah Alam Siddiqui. First of all, being a writer myself, I can tell you, writing a book is no small feat. It takes courage, patience, and a deep love for storytelling. And Shah Sahab has all that in abundance. Through this book, he has not only shared a story or experience, but also a piece of his heart. Every page reflects his experience, passion, imagination, and dedication. Foreign Affairs to Jail
and became successful in your efforts in this country, in a new environment and culture. And I think one thing I would like to ask him, that in this book he could not give any background of his leaving the foreign service. If a short note could be. He was through his book. The book I read and I was very much impressed because here he described his बहुत मुबारकबाद। इस बुक की, इस किताब की खासियत ये है कि आप पढ़ेंगे, आप अपने आप को पाएंगे। जितने भी हमारी एज के हैं जो आगे जिन्होंने स्ट्रगल की है, वो सब उस किताब में है और वो जिंदगी के साथ है। और दूसरी बात ये कि जिस खूबसूरती से with respect for America, you have brought actually America and us closer together. This is a book of love. Thank you very much.
The only thing I would like to request the training, that you better train him better than what you have trained so far. You know why? Every time I called him to find out what time the program will start, oh, I am in jail. I said, Mr. Shah, go to hell, stay in jail.
Interactive community discussion for 42 years, which everybody knows. I don't want to go into that part. But for all this reason, I'm thankful to my wife, Sima Malik, who's here. And so I'm going to start the review of this book.
In the book, he recalls a night when a very young inmate, furious and frightened, refused to return to his cell. He described it as the tension in the corridor was thick enough to take. Instead of shouting or calling for help or, for backup, Shah Alam Siddiqui simply stood his ground, met the man's eyes and said quietly, "You decide how this ends." Minutes passed before the inmate lowered his voice and walked back on his own. It's because of these types of stories I've learned never to mess with Siddiqui. Inside the jail, respect is not conferred by rank or history. It is earned through fairness, applied without exception, through commands spoken once and meant, through the ability to remain steady when chaos invites reaction. And Siddiqui shows us the tools of diplomacy do not vanish behind bars. They're refined.
In a very small para here. Okay, so let me tell you that it is a very difficult job for all the immigrants to leave their safe place, safe haunts, their relatives, parents, and the places, their schools, which were very familiar, and come all the way to a different culture, different country, and it is very tough for all the immigrants. And as Shah Sahib has really talked about it, that when he was in Chicago and he was in the night, he was just thinking that was it worth it? But then he was being a very positive character, as Mrs. Siddiqui also talked about him. He really said that no, this is life, this is my life, this is my future, this is my country, and I'm going to realize my American dream. And here we have Shah Sahib got his.
And then he comes and he has a current job all of you know is doing so well. So we said, since there's no time, we wish him well, and I think he will write soon another book, I hope, and we'll be back here to read his another book and appreciate. Thank you very much.
Let's come. Let me hold your hand.
Thank you.